It's definitely easier to find out about sex now. When I was at school, we weren't told much. If we wanted to find out about sex, we could ask each other. But let's face it, we were all in the same boat and basically didn't know what we were talking about, even if we pretended we did. So we just got on with it, which meant that by the time we were 16, at least 2 girls in my class were already pregnant.
It's the same old story, shutting the door after the horse has bolted. But at least at some point they recognise that even disabled people want their nat king coal, and if left on their own, will find a way to get it. But when I was in my teens, it was much simpler. Nobody spoke about it, at least not to me. I was seen as more or less asexual. It was as if people seemed to find the idea of me having sex almost unthinkable. It happened though, but I was jumping about in the dark trying to work out what to do. Mind you, I was in no doubt there were plenty of able-bodied people in a similar situation.
At least I was offered sex education at school, but it was crap. It was 45 minutes a week. It lasted only 4 weeks. It was done by our French teacher, who we just took the mickey out of. If nothing else, it was good for a laugh.
You've got to look at it from the school's point of view too. I can have a class of kids with varying abilities, from quite profound learning disabilities through to those who have no cognitive difficulties at all, but are in one way or another physically disabled. Somewhere up the line, the powers that be have decided what would be the best cognitive age to pass on the information. In the past, it was considered better to wait until the kids were older, because that would give more of the kids with learning difficulties a chance to reach a suitable mental age. However, that approach also compounded the problem, because in the case of kids with learning disabilities, it's quite common for their physical development to be ahead of their cognitive development, and so they're ready for sexual relations before they can absorb the information. I had one girl who said to me, I might be slow at learning, but I wasn't slow at sex.
The boys and girls were taught separately. What's the point in that? Sex is the one thing we're really meant to do together. We had a crappy video that was so old it was practically black and white. That was about it. So we knew how to get a girl pregnant, but they didn't tell us much about how to avoid it. It made us think that knowing about sex wasn't that important, though doing it was pretty high on our list of priorities. We were left with the feeling that the school was just going through the motions.
Every school is different, and how and when they decide to deliver sex education is down to the local authority. But it's a lot easier now, because sex is more openly discussed, and information about pretty much all aspects of it is freely available, either online or through various organisations specifically set up to help people. And that information is also more relevant because people are willing to recognise that those with disabilities are just as likely to want and are entitled to an active sex life. I can assess my kids now and offer to help them when I think the time is right. I can refer them to specialist support workers who provide them with relevant material that suits their needs. It's not a bed of roses, but it is a big improvement on the inappropriate and inadequate one-size-fits-all sex education that was, and unfortunately still is, being delivered in some places.
There's no excuse these days for not providing people with a decent sex education programme. All I want now is somebody to give me an education that tells me not just how to do it safely, but how to do it better. A few hints and tips, not that I need it, but there's always room for improvement.
I'll second that.